Film analysis, 12 Years a Slave. Synopsis. The film tells the true story of Solomon Northup, a free black man living in New York in the 19th century. He is kidnapped by slave traders and sold into slavery in the southern United States. For 12 years, he endures physical and psychological abuse, injustice, and the brutality of the slave system while desperately trying to maintain his identity and hope of returning to his family. Analysis. 1. Acting. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Solomon Northup, delivers an intense performance, conveying suffering, resilience, and dignity. Michael Fassbender, Edwin Eaps, embodies the cruelty of the slave system, showing both fear and pleasure in the exercise of absolute power. Lupita Nyong'o, Patsy, gives a devastating emotional performance, portraying the vulnerability and struggle of a woman subjected to slavery. 2. Direction and cinematography. Steve McQueen uses long takes and precise framing to emphasize the harshness and brutality of slavery, creating scenes that are almost unbearable to watch, but necessary to convey historical reality. Sean Bobbitt's cinematography alternates between natural beauty and extreme violence, contrasting hope and despair. 3. Themes and messages. Racial injustice. The film portrays not only slavery, but also the physical and psychological impact of a system that dehumanizes people. Resistance and dignity. Solomon retains his identity and humanity despite extreme abuse, showing the strength of the human spirit. Historical memory. The film forces the audience to confront the history of slavery in the U.S. and reflect on both past and present structural racism. 4. Realism and emotional impact. The film is visceral and emotionally intense. It does not romanticize slavery. The scenes of physical and psychological abuse are disturbing, but essential for the audience to understand the real brutality of the era. 5. Reception. Critics widely praised for Steve McQueen's direction, John Ridley's screenplay, and the performances of the cast. Awards won the Academy Award for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, Lupita Nyong'o, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Curiosities about 12 Years a Slave. 1. Based on a true story. The film is adapted from Solomon Northup's 1853 autobiography, a first-hand account of his kidnapping and enslavement. 2. Historical accuracy. Director Steve McQueen aimed for extreme authenticity, consulting historians and using real locations where possible. 3. Chiwetel Ejiofor's transformation. Ejiofor lost weight and underwent intense physical preparation to realistically portray the suffering Solomon endured. 4. Lupita Nyong'o's debut. This was Lupita Nyong'o's feature film debut, and her performance won her the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. 5. Filming locations. Many scenes were shot on historical plantations in Louisiana to replicate the conditions of the 19th century American South. 6. Oscar success. The film won 3 Oscars, Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Adapted Screenplay, and was nominated for 9 in total. 7. Michael Fassbender's commitment. Fassbender's portrayal of Edwin Eaps was intense. He reportedly asked for guidance from former slaves' descendants to understand the psychology of the role. 8. Long takes. Some scenes were filmed in long, uninterrupted takes to immerse the audience in the harsh reality of slavery, creating a sense of tension and realism. 9. Emotional impact. Steve McQueen intentionally included extremely difficult scenes like Patsy's whipping to force viewers to confront the brutal realities of slavery. 10. Critical acclaim. The film is widely regarded as one of the most powerful portrayals of American slavery in cinema, praised for its direction, acting, and historical fidelity. Lessons from 12 Years a Slave. 1. Resilience in the face of adversity. Solomon maintains his identity, hope, and dignity despite extreme abuse, showing the strength of the human spirit. 2. The importance of freedom. The film emphasizes the invaluable nature of freedom and the devastating impact of losing it unjustly. 3. Empathy and historical awareness. By portraying the brutal reality of slavery, the film encourages reflection on past and present injustices, fostering empathy and understanding. 4. Courage to resist. The story shows that resisting oppression, even in small or subtle ways, is an act of courage and humanity. 5. Family and hope. Love for family is a central motivating force that keeps Solomon emotionally alive, reminding us that human connections can sustain hope in the darkest moments. 6. The fight against structural racism. The film demonstrates that slavery is not just a historical issue, but also a warning about prejudice and discrimination that persist in various forms today. The film 12 Years a Slave had an estimated budget between $20 million and $22 million United States dollars and grossed approximately $187,700,000 United States dollars worldwide, making it a major success both critically and financially. The film 12 Years a Slave received extremely positive reviews from both critics and audiences. On the Rotten Tomatoes Tomato Meter, it achieved a 95% rating based on 377 professional reviews, indicating widespread critical acclaim for Steve McQueen's direction, John Ridley's screenplay, and the performances of the cast. Audiences also responded very positively, giving the film a 90% audience score based on more than 100,000 ratings, reflecting the strong emotional connection viewers had with the story and its characters. Now, here's our opinion.
This was one of the most interesting films I have watched in recent times, and it intensely addresses the sensitive subject of slavery. The first thing I can say is that it is an extremely necessary film, portraying the past of humanity in a faithful and impactful way, an event that cannot be forgotten because it shows the full extent of the cruelty that humans are capable of inflicting on one another. It is not a film that presents a beautiful or light story, but it is essential for everyone to watch in order to understand how people of different skin colors or races were treated. Furthermore, the film reminds us of how inhumane we were. Slavery was one of the darkest and most troubled periods in human history. Regarding racial issues, it made me reflect on some topics that can be delicate for certain people, such as Black Awareness Day. I consider this day problematic because it makes me ask, why do we need a Black Awareness Day? Some argue that it is to remember the suffering that Black people endured in the past, but all of this history is already documented. Constantly bringing up this topic can, in some way, generate prejudice or reinforce divisions. It is like having fought with a friend in the past. After making peace, the ideal is not to keep bringing up the fight. History itself already reminds us of what happened. For example, the film 12 Years a Slave shows this directly. It is a necessary work that accurately portrays the horrors of the past. Now, Black Awareness Day appears more as a symbolic gesture, as if to say, we acknowledge the wrongs, but here is a day in your honor. It seems like a superficial attempt to smooth things over without truly addressing the historical issue. I remember that when I was a child, there was this discussion about racism in Brazil, where I live. Racism here is considered a heinous crime. If you demonstrate racism, you can be arrested. I dealt with it simply by not talking about the subject. I did not make references, jokes, or comments about someone's skin color out of respect. For me, skin color never made any difference in my life, and I believe everyone should act the same way. It is possible to make lighthearted jokes with friends about certain physical conditions, but always respecting limits and without turning it into aggression, whether verbal or physical. Knowing how to separate moments is essential. And by the way, there is a world-famous actor who thinks in a very similar way to me. He has already expressed his opinion about Black Awareness Day. I will show a clip from his video so you can better understand what I am trying to convey.
Black History Month you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism until...
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman. You want to say, well, I know this white guy named Mike Wallace. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
That was the actor Morgan Freeman speaking.
History does not allow us to forget what happened to black people in the past. Many black people believe that humanity owes them something. To some extent, yes, but this should translate into respect, not privileges. For example, many advocate for racial quotas in universities and public exams as a form of historical compensation. But quotas and privileges are usually intended for people with physical or mental disabilities. And in that case, they make sense. Granting privileges solely based on skin color seems unfair and, paradoxically, a form of prejudice, as if suggesting that black people do not have the same abilities as white people. I consider this approach misguided and contrary to true equality. I wanted to bring these points up for discussion because I consider them very important, especially in light of the film story. Speaking of which, I consider 12 Years a Slave a very good film. I really enjoyed watching it. It is not enjoyable in the sense of light entertainment because it presents suffering characters and strong, heavy scenes, but it is extremely important to watch. It is a film that truly surprised me, and I highly recommend it. It is a necessary, intriguing, and impactful film, essential for understanding how black people were treated in the past. Without a doubt, it is a work that will move you deeply. That's all for now. Session closed. If all goes well, see you in the next video. Until then,